Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are all well on your Sunday morning. So, on today's show, we'll be looking back at yesterday's goalless draw with Lincoln City up here in sunny Lincolnshire, where I still remain. It's still hammering down with rain as it's been pretty much the entire time we've been up here. Joining me to look back at yesterday's game, first up, top right, Nathan Miller. How's it going, Nath?
Not bad, mate. Another point on the board, so it's all good. Am I joking?
It feels like we haven't said that for a while.
Yeah, no, not bad, mate. A little bit better than Tuesday, but glad none of us have been blown away. And obviously, safe trip back, mate, because it's going to be interesting on the old public transport after.
Yeah, well, we're driving back, but I don't know if that's going to be any better. But yeah, I very nearly got blown away. We tried to go to visit Lincoln Castle last night. And we drove there in the howling wind and rain, just all covered up, and we finally got there for this Christmas light thing. So I'm like, no, we cancelled it today. I was like, oh, brilliant, cheers, lads. So then we got back in the car and just went home. Yeah, also joining us. Bottom of the screen, this will be interesting because his Wi-Fi wasn't working about a minute before the show. Is Benji Clark. How you doing, Ben?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me now? So
yeah, we can. Yeah. Delay wasn't even that bad as well.
I was waiting. Oh, okay, that's all right. I was waiting for Nath to say "living the dream," actually, but how bad is it? He's not even saying that anymore because we'd be like, "Is this really living the dream? 0-0, boring game." So this is how things have got to, eh?
Hey, well, as Nathan says, we're clearly on the upward trajectory now because it was better than Tuesday. So, 15 more of those and we'll be playing like a football team again, which will be good. So on today's show, no highlights because there was no goals and there were no highlights anyway, even if there's nothing really much to report about in terms of action yesterday. Obviously, storm ravaged during that game. But we will hear the reaction from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones. We got into a bit of a discussion about long ball, that sort of stuff. So we'll hear what Nathan had to say about that. And we'll hear from Lloyd Jones as well, the returning Addicts vice captain, back in the side after his long-term injury. His first start lasted the 90 minutes as well. So we'll hear from Lloyd later on in the show. Want to hear from all of you guys in the chat. Morning to everyone who's joined us. All hell let loose is in there first, asking about our medical team. Said he thought Edwards didn't look as good as he has done over the last few weeks. Mickey as in there, Stuart's asking if it's going to be another tough show. Probably will be, to be fair, based on the game yesterday. Ray's in there. John's up in sunny Lincoln as well. Another John Paul Dudley. Let us know your thoughts on yesterday's game. Email us studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at charltonlive, or you can add a live comment. What did you read into yesterday? Yeah, where would you have changed the side? Anything like that you want to have your say on. Nath, as I said, no highlights, so we'll dive straight into it. It's a goalless draw. It's a clean sheet, which is always nice. I mean, the conditions were a bit mad. I think we saw it was going to be one of those days when early on Lincoln tried to launch that long throw into the box and it blew behind for a goal kick. But yeah, tried to get the ball down and play a little bit, I guess, but not much more to say than that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as you say, it was when you turned up to the ground, you probably realised it was going to be one of those days. It was just a game that lacked any real quality from both sides, not just us, obviously. Tough to watch. overhit passes out of play when they weren't under pressure, possession gifted to the opposition. It was a bit like you go, we go, with no real quality. I mean, some of it you can attribute it to the weather, but there's certain bits of the play that nothing to do with the wind, like, you know, the misplaced short passes. And I looked last night, and both sides had an average pass streak of 3, which for me says it all. So there's no real sort of consistently in anyone's game. First half, Lincoln started better. We came into the game a little bit better. Second half, it looked like we made a couple of changes, with sort of Taylor dropping deeper into a more fluid halfback sort of role. Mitchell drifted wider, pushed TC on a little bit to push Rico back. And it allowed us to try and build up that possession, but we still struggled building through the thirds. And I think there was a couple of instances where there were no real options, and you see Alex Mitchell going one of his sort of Danny Alves sort of marauding runs down the right hand side, which weren't really going to come to anything. But you know, I can't fault the attitude and the determination of the group as usual. Like I never can. You know, it's just that bit of spark, that bit of quality that we're just lacking. That seems to have got lost in the wind. Pardon the pun. But you know, I think we say it on our WhatsApp chat, but I think every single game this season is just blurring into one big game. So at the end of the season, if you try and do a quiz and you play a highlight and you go, what game that's from, it's going to be impossible, like literally impossible, to actually say what game it was for.
Well, I'm not feeling very confident for you ahead of the Christmas quiz in a couple of weeks now, because that's one of the rounds normally. I'll put a goal in, and what I'll do is I'll put a pass going out of play, and you'll have to guess what game it's from. Ben, I mean, absolute clutching. A couple of people saying, yeah, it was better than Tuesday. it couldn't be any worse than Tuesday. And I did think there was quite a clear difference in that we got the ball down to try and play a bit more, but you know, it was that lack of quality. As Stephen says, we've lacked quality all season. Can hardly blame the weather, and whether it's the conditions that forced us to get it down and play a little bit. And like I say, I spoke to Nathan Jones about the clear change in style from the long balls on Tuesday, and that we've seen a lot this season. Even when we tried it, we didn't really get enough from it in terms of chances. I think the best chance was that one that came to Alan Campbell about 15 minutes from the end, where TC rolled it across and he prodded it wide. But yeah, even with getting it down and trying to spray it about a bit more, we just didn't. We just lacked that creativity. You know, I think we first said that on day one of the season, so it's not exactly a new thing.
Yeah, we lacked creativity, and we acted fluid, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say, fluid passing. We couldn't string a few passes together to even get us going up the pitch. Yeah, it was very frustrating, but yeah, I mean, it's what we've come to expect this season, isn't it? As you said, like, we're used to booing it up there and the press being our main assist maker for goals, and we couldn't do that yesterday because of the conditions. Although we still stuck to that long throw. I don't know why we kept doing long throws into the box. That clearly wasn't working. But as you said, like with the chance we had, which was probably our best chance, I mean, that was a long ball. Lee Byrne brought it down very well, but he then passes it out to the wing, and we have a low cross into the box, which brought us our best chance. And you thought, okay, that's done well. Let's have a few more chances like that, where Tyrese or Josh Edwards gets down the line and we get a few crosses into the box like that. But I wasn't forthcoming. I think in that first half, it was nice. We actually had a few shots outside the box. Doherty's shot, well, looked like it was close. It probably wasn't in the end, but at least he had a shot. And I think Anson had a shot, which forced another corner. So that was promising to see, because that was one thing on Tuesday that we didn't do enough of, having shots like just when we could. We weren't trying to knock it into the box as close as possible. But yeah, overall, just even 50-50 battles, I just thought we were losing out on yesterday. But they were a poor side as well, weren't they? I mean, I think their best chance, Hackett Fairchild had that volley in the box, which he completely fluffed, and his teammates just looked at him in disbelief. Yeah, it was a bit of a comedy show yesterday, as someone said in the comments, because I just couldn't see either team winning or scoring in that game. It was just so bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember we went up to Lincoln a couple of years ago under Ben Garner and drew 0-0. and coming away like it's rare. I think this about other teams. We're coming away thinking Lincoln were absolutely rubbish, but that's happened a couple of times over the last. Considering Lincoln's a side that every now and then will go and have a little push for the playoffs. It's weird that we've caught them on a couple of really poor days. But yeah, it was interesting. Someone mentioned about Skabala's said in his post-match interview he thought we were a very direct side. Crikey, you should have seen us on Tuesday because I'm up here. I was listening to Radio Lincolnshire when I was driving back from the game to the in-laws' house here, and I heard that interview. I was like, blimey, like that was probably the least direct we've been all season. So it was a clear difference. I mean, David's saying, do you think it was the weather that made us try and play the ball on the deck yesterday, Nathan?
Yeah, probably it would have had an impact on it because I think it was the second half where Lincoln were trying it and it kept running out of play, and it took a while for them to realise, right, us going long down this left-hand side, it's just carrying through. Whereas if they tried to DARRAGH over to Josh Edwards' side, it was probably holding up a little bit better. So it probably played into our hands a little bit, but we should be doing that anyway. And I don't think, I don't mind us going direct, in inverted commas, every now and again if we need to stretch sides or whatever. But when it was like Tuesday, it was like every time, and we were doing it too early, which I'm sure Nate, you'll come on to what Nathan said, but that's down to the players. I think it just because you've got a target man up there, it doesn't mean you have to hit him directly all the time. And even when we did, if it's not sticking, it's coming straight back. So I think yesterday we tried going through the middle because of the weather. But I mean, Lincoln done an okay job in locking it off. And I don't think we've got the midfield enough, in my opinion, where you need to create space when people lock it off. And we don't have people with that mobility off the ball and that creative mindset of trying to find something and moving out of their positions. We're quite a structured side. There's not a lot of fluidity in there. So, yeah, I mean, we did, like you say, we did try play a little bit yesterday, but it wasn't clicking and we were sort of stalling every time we was going forward. But I mean, on that point, like you say about Lincoln, I think that's one of the frustrating things is this league isn't a good league. They're ones like pushing playoffs and we beat Bolton and I know they're a good side. Birmingham are a different grave and we done okay against them and got a win. But if you look across the league, no one's really, oh, wow, they're exceptional. And I think that's what the frustrating thing is how average we are. If you look at us, what we've scored the same amount of goals that we conceded or something like that, we're bang average in the middle of the table, and rightly that, they're on merit. I don't know if you call it merit, but and I think that's what the frustration is really on the season so far.
Yeah, you're right. We deserve to be in mid-table, and that's exactly where we are, which is, I mean, Stuart saying 19 league goals conceded from 18 games, 7 clean sheets, but only 18 league goals scored. The table appears to be spot on. So, 19 conceded from 18 is pretty much, actually that's, you'd consider that a good defensive record, especially with the clean sheets. But it's the other side of it this season. The 18 league goals scored in 18 games is clearly nowhere near the sort of level you get if you're going to be a side that's going to push for the playoffs. And I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. We've probably almost certainly left ourselves too much to do in that regard. So yeah, it's going to be another long second half of the season. Yeah, Martin said it was a drab performance in his opinion, but at least it was a point. Shiny Phil says, I was at work listening to the commentary yesterday. It sounded like a pretty tired match, but we had to avoid defeat. And I don't care how we did it. I'll take the point. I mean, I guess for everyone's sake, like not losing is obviously something we could have done with. But it's so uninspiring now, isn't it, Ben? That's the problem. Like it was 650 of us made the trip up there yesterday, and like I say, in horrible conditions. I know there was train problems for those who came up on the day as well, but it's going to be another one of those second halves of the season where we're really struggling to find the motivation to see what we're actually challenging for in the second half of the year, and that does make every year it happens, it makes it harder and harder for us to keep people coming back.
Oh, massively, mate. Yes. I mean, me and like a few friends were thinking of like booking up away games in January and stuff like that. We've got Rotherham. I know Nath was talking about Blackpool. I think that's the 1st of Feb. And you're thinking, oh, yeah. But when there's no motivation to go, oh, yeah, if we win that, that'll be great because that'll push us in the playoffs. And then that'll be a big game because of this and that. It just isn't happening. And when we're coming up to the January window and thinking about bolstering our side to push for that, I mean, we always get there, don't we? And we're sometimes, last few years we've been so far off, and at the moment we're 8 points off. then you kind of lose that motivation for fans going to games, and you kind of focus more on the day of having a good day out with your mates. But yeah, I mean, yesterday, as you said, both sides were poor. It was a 0-0 game written all over the whole game. But yeah, a positive, as you said, was the clean sheet, having Lloyd back. I was just looking at the stats. He wins so many aerial duels. It's unreal. It's like he's the highest in the league he was before his injury. And like yesterday, he won it 6 more than others. So it was great to see him back, because I think he leads with his character as well as playing on the pitch. And I think him and Mitchell have a good relationship together. I know we went with 3 at the back yesterday, which helped us get forward a little bit more, because nothing could have stopped us not getting forward after Tuesday. So at least it helped Josh and Tyrese get forward a little bit more and help us with creativity there. So yeah, if there's one positive, at least we kept a clean sheet and there were no real errors. Ash's shot stopping was decent with some of the shots he had to save. Although his kicking, I don't know who kept telling him to boot it up the field, and it kept blowing back into him. But yeah, look, we're here to talk about positives. I mean, we can take that into the Mansfield game now next Saturday to try and build on that. But as you said, we just need, imagine if we would have went there yesterday and got a win. Imagine the boost that would have been, because I remember last season they were the team to beat at Sincil Bank. They were such a strong side at home. Okay, they've had their side decimated by other teams buying their players, like us getting Mitchell, who was on loan with them last season. But they build again, and they're up there again. As Nate said, they're 4 points away from the playoffs. So, yeah, look, I mean, we got to go in with some positivity in the next few games, because we know after the Mansfield game, we got quite a few games coming up around that Christmas period. So, yeah, nice to have some players back like Dan as well, that will no doubt provide some competition up there, because we've got 4 fit strikers now. It's just finding a way of, as you said, trying to get goals in this team, because we're not conceding loads, but we're not scoring them.
Yeah, I mean, Peter says, never thought we'd get anything yesterday, so point of Lincoln's a decent result these days. If Nathan doesn't get any wingers in January, there's no helping him. Luke's saying if we don't have a creative midfielder, then we need width. We have neither. I mean, I thought TC had an off day yesterday, Nathan. Yeah, like the only, I mean, in fairness to him, we created our only real proper clear-cut chance for Alan Campbell. But other than that, the amount of times he got the ball at his feet and actually put a decent cross in, I think was probably once.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing, well, not an excuse, but he was sort of playing out of position. I think the first half he was more, I don't know if it was instructed or if it was just his reading of the game, but he was quite deep in terms of, because Rico was in the ascendancy and was pushing TC back. He found himself a lot of the time on the back foot, and he would be picking the ball up in deeper areas, trying to pass it in. I think there was 3 times he passed it infield to either Gas or Daniel Connor, and they were poor passes. And then, we lost possession. And then half time, it seemed like we made that change where Alex Mitchell was a lot wider, which gave him the license to go forward. And I don't think Rico did much apart from fluffing that shot. So, bit of an off day for TC. But again, it's the same thing when we played Corey at wing back when he was here. It's like, you ain't really going to get, his attributes don't suit that sort of role for me. But at the same time, we haven't really got much else over that side unless you put Reg there. But you put Reg there, then you're losing any attacking sort of influence whatsoever. So then you're quite defensive anyway, and Rico's just going to stay high. So it's difficult one how you juggle that, whether you play a 4 or play with a back 5, which TC had to get involved with yesterday. So, but yeah, he sort of stopped and started. I mean, again, he started up front, trying to develop him that way. That didn't really work. Now he's had to come in and play right wing back. We haven't really got 2 wingers, like experienced wingers in inverted commas. So it's hard for him. It is hard for him, but that's what squad's for. That's what he's got to do for his development. And, hopefully he can put a better performance in, but I wouldn't say he was the only poor player. It just wasn't really his usual sparky self. He does seem like he's lacking a bit of confidence.
Yeah, but we should mention that the clean sheet yesterday, Ben, and particularly in those conditions. I mean, we dealt with a few set pieces. I gave my man of the match in the paper to Macaulay Gillespie. He headed away quite a few corners and in open play as well. Sort of sentences you never thought you'd say there, but we dealt with it. It's a 7th clean sheet. Lloyd coming back is good. I mean, we can't skirt over the fact that defensively overall, we kept them at bay, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I wasn't sat there thinking they were going to score any time, to be fair, which is a nice feeling to have. I think Lloyd offers that dependency as well. I just look back at that stat I just said. I mean, the nearest to him in aerial duels, he won 11. Nearest to him was O'Connor for Lincoln, who won 6. I mean, he's just such a key player like that for us. I think you look at him and he's, well, as I've met him before in the old Saints bow, that he's a tall, commanding figure. And I think you look to him and he did well for us last season. I know it was unfortunate to get that injury, but to come back in and put up...
How's he a commanding figure in Sainsbury's? Was he like pushing you over as you going towards the biscuits or something?
Yeah, just the way I think he's like had that figure of like a security guard, no? And like mess with him was walking down the aisle. You just go, car. Like everyone just left an aisle as he was walking down there and just left him to do his own thing. So yeah, no, he just has that presence about him. But yeah, look, we've got to look at positives, and that was a positive for us at the start of the season, wasn't it? We were getting these clean sheets. We were that was setting us up to like build up across the pitch. Unfortunately, because of his injuries, we've received a blow like that, and I do feel sorry for the keepers because they're forever. I mean, we've had Reg playing there, we've had Zach Mitchell, we've had Dan Potts, and then we've played 3 at the back, then we've played a 5, then we played a 4. It's ever changing. So hopefully now, if we can keep these fit, I mean, Tuesday obviously we'll switch it up for the trophy, but if we can keep these fit and just get a relationship going, it will help, and hopefully we can try and get the rest of the stuff going on the pitch now.
Yeah, Luke says he towered over Benji to grab a pack of Uncle Ben's rice off the top shelf. Dudley asked if Ben asked Lloyd Jones to get a tin off the top shelf for you. Well, there you go. We'll hear from Lloyd later on in the show. One other player that I noticed yesterday, which again haven't always done at times this season. I thought like Doherty got on the ball a bit more and actually playing the ball on the floor. And we've said all season like the midfielders don't get involved enough, but actually maybe partly it's because they're always watching the ball fly over their head. Like I saw him make a couple of good challenges yesterday. I saw him actually try and play the ball through the thirds a bit. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and say we were threading through passes like prime skulls or whatever, but he was on the ball a bit. That which I noticed as a difference.
Yeah, I think we've always said it. I think the midfielders we've got can play. They can. I mean, we're not saying that they're sort of Iniesta and going to pick a through ball out of nowhere and be our most creative influence, but they can play ball, And it's like when you've got players that can play and you literally just bypass them, there's no point having them in there. You might as well just play 3 massive target men up there, really. But yeah, I thought he'd done okay. Got around the pitch. I know he's coming with some criticism in terms of what he adds to the team, but yeah, I think he gets around. He gives you energy, and I think you can have that. But I just think you need to couple that with something that's different. But I think a lot of our midfield are quite all samey. And when you play 4 midfielders that are quite similar, you're going to get similar outcomes and similar sort of positional sense and creative output. So, but yeah, I thought he'd done okay. You need that away from home, especially that Coventry was missing yesterday. So gave us that little bit of steely resolve, probably a little bit of a point to prove after getting sent off and missing 3 games as a captain. So yeah, he done okay. I don't think anyone particularly played really, really bad. It was just a case of that no one really played great, and nor did Lincoln. So it was probably a fair result. But yeah, I think it's just like we said all season, is trying to get that balance of that midfield to try to get us that. We've got that steely resolve in most of the time. It's just try that other side of the pitch now where we were absolutely flying in last season when we were scoring. But so yeah, he's not going to get you loads of goals, but if he's playing in that advanced position, then he's obviously there just to trigger the press and just try and hush and harry and all that sort of jazz.
All right, Scott saying, I think we need to face the facts, and the facts are we are now a mid-table League One side. Any cup run is a bonus. I mean, Luke's saying we're going to be going for the Virtue Trophy or whatever it's. Yeah, that's what it's called now, isn't it? But I mean, I mentioned earlier, in terms of the season, as far as I'm concerned, we've left ourselves a lot to do. Dean saying, how can you write this season off already? We haven't even reached Christmas. We're not 15 points off the playoffs with 10 games to go. It's been acknowledged. It's a bang average league. No reason why we couldn't go on the run. So again, I mean, just to sort of remind people of the sort of run we'd need to go on now. So we've got 28 games left. So far we've got 23 points. You need about 74, 75 points to hit the playoffs. So therefore, we need to pick up 51 52 points over the rest of the season. So in order to do that, we would have to go in our 28 games for the rest of the season. We'd have to only lose 6 and win 15. Like, are we going to be winning over half of our remaining games this season? Have you seen anything in this squad to suggest that we can really go on a proper elongated run for that amount of time? I mean, that's where I'm coming from it. I mean, I just think we've left ourselves too much to do. If we were clicking, if we had clicked already and we're not still saying, right, it's going to come in a few weeks' time, then maybe it'd be a different story and you think, well, it's possible to go on a big run. But I just haven't seen us as a side that could do that, Ben. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. We've got no evidence looking back at games that you can honestly say that, oh yeah, do you know what? If we pick up this win and then there's no consistency in the side. And the better results we've had have come earlier on in the season. And yes, we've had injuries and yes, players are coming back, but I'm sure we'll get more injuries soon. And then other key players will be missed. So yeah, right now, I think it's great to think, yeah, we're not that many points off it. And yeah, we've got a load of games coming up around Christmas time, so we could make that up. But it's just not seeing that in the side. I think, especially after Tuesday, I just thought well, the Burton game wasn't great. The Walsall game was better, but it was still a League Two game in the Cup, a League Two team in the Cup. And then, so not as much pressure as in the league. And then, Tuesday and yesterday, I just don't think we were ever going to grab that game and win the game and then come away thinking, even if we would have won the game yesterday, I don't think we would have gained enough confidence to think this is the start of a run. There's not enough positives in games. We're not playing nice football and then missing the odd chance. You're thinking, on another day, if we would have got those, we would have won the game. But the positives are there. I don't think we're seeing enough positives from the game. Positives are getting them back in the defence, but I mean, we need more chances created in the game. I mean, 1 shot on target in the game. How many did we have on Tuesday? 2. We're not getting enough to win a game, and if we are, it's by defined margins. But yeah, that's the main thing. I think you look at it and it's not too bad. And I think Matty Godden said after the game on Tuesday with you, he said, I've been at Coventry before and we've been bottom of the league November, December and got in the playoffs and got in the final. So we know it can happen, but because there's not enough, we're not creating enough chances, we're not getting excited about it. And because year after year lately, we've seen this happen to us before. There's nothing to get behind to think that we might do that unless we bolster. But as we said earlier, there's a lot of games coming up before January, and who do we realistically sign? Who's ready to come to us if we're not going to get loan players like Jones doesn't like? That's going to really push us up there. I don't think we're a real positive side to come to for any player really at the moment, are we? Because we're in transition, aren't we? Really.
Yeah, and we're going to have to do the opposite of that. What that Millwall side doing, was it the 90s or so, when they were top at Christmas in the Championship and ended up getting relegated. So we have to do the opposite of that. Did anyone see what Neil Harris had to say about Millwall? He just referenced a couple of the old Ficcos there, Neil Harris. So just a quick reminder for the Ficcos, if anyone's listening. That was quite funny yesterday. James says that we've got 2 hopes, Bob Hope and no hope. I mean, Alan, this is a good point. We needed to start the run after we beat Burton, and that's partly why that Crawley game was so disappointing. Stuart saying we're averaging under a point a game in the last 15. Dutchy says I've got more chance of going on a run, and I'm 56 and 110 kilograms. So, well, yeah. Dean saying players will be missed from all teams in this league. Hope the players don't have the same attitude. Yeah, I'm sure they don't. Good luck to them. But we're not the ones who have to go out and do that. Luke saying he was addressing their whole fan base with that. I think he was only referencing some of the Ficcos, to be fair to him. But yeah, there was a message about Alan. I think maybe we'll come to the Alan Campbell chat after the interview. But Scott, references Alan Campbell, which we'll talk about later on. But I think we should hear from Nathan Jones. Obviously, a few talking points out of yesterday's game, including sort of long ball tactics and what was clearly a difference yesterday. So I spoke to the Addicts boss after the goalless draw with Lincoln. Nathan, it's a goalless draw in horrible conditions here at Sincil Bank. What did you make of the game?
Well, I'm not sure there was horrible conditions. It was disgraceful conditions, really. To football match in there, you're never going to be a spectacle. But I thought, the positives come out. There was a clean sheet, and we limited them to very little counter-attacks. First half was all it was. we were far better in possession today in terms of how we moved the football. We made better choices than we did in midweek, for example, in terms of when to go in, when to play, when to move the ball quickly. And look, if you hadn't been for the conditions, we'd have been able to be a little bit more fluent. Good to see Lloyd Jones back. As I said, so 7th clean sheet so far, 10 in all competitions. So last year this football club only kept 5 clean sheets in the whole season. So it shows that, one, we've improved things defensively, and I'm proud of the performance, because I don't think anyone realised how bad the conditions were until you go into the middle of the pitch. And second half was blowing a gale against us, but I thought we were brave. I thought we took the sting out of the game and probably had the best situations.
I saw in the early stages when Lincoln had that throw or corner that went behind for a goal kick, it was going to make a big difference today.
Look, the conditions were a disgrace, but we tried to take the sting out. We tried to play, we tried to move the ball quickly. We did that really well first half. Got into situations and didn't hit the target, didn't quite have the final pass, and that was the thing. Second half, it was gale force blowing right down the pitch against us. So again, we had to try and play. Again, we had to take the sting out of the game. And we kept a clean sheet and limited them to very, very little. So it shows that one part of the game was very good today.
Yeah, you could tell that you were playing the ball more on the floor today. Was that partly the conditions, or partly something you want to see more from your side as well?
We always work on that. Like, look, whatever happens in a game, if you watch our training, we can stretch play, we can go into front, but we move the ball with tempo. That's what we work on day in, day out. And when we become the side that we want to become, because bear in mind, everyone, you know, we're 18th in League One when I came here. They hadn't won in 18 games. Last year we turned stuff round. We had to lay a foundation. We had to get better defensively, and we were. And we did what we had to do this year. We've tried to be more fluent, tried to be more front-footed, embedded a lot of players in. Defensively, we've improved considerably from last year, because we were one of the best in the league defensively. So it's all a work in progress. Now, it isn't going to happen overnight, because we haven't spent 40 million, but we are getting there. And when you say about midweek, that was just choices from players midweek, and I take a lot of the onus on myself and the blame on myself and the responsibility for everything. But we don't set up to go long. We don't train like that. That's not how we train. And we train to be fluent, to be front-footed, to move the ball quickly, to be aggressive, to run beyond people. That's what we train to do, and we made better choices today.
You talk about it being a work in process, in progress. Are you still are you asking for more patience from supporters, or?
Supporters pay their money. They turned up today, magnificent effort today. Patience or whatever. What we're saying is to turn a club around and to go from 18 games without a win to suddenly go to try and take this team up the league and try to get into another division and so on is not an overnight thing. So it depends. Performances like Tuesday are not acceptable. Not from my point of view, not from players' point of view, in anything. And that wasn't game plan or anything. That's choices. So we have to make better choices. But we are a work in progress, we know that. Defensively, we're considerably better than we were last year. We're one of the best in the league. Now we have to marry that up with a front-footed, fluent performance going forward, and once both of those come together, then we'll be an excellent side.
Do you think there's still time to achieve that this season in terms of trying to chase the playoffs as well?
Absolutely. It's a long season. We're not even halfway through the season yet, right? But we have a foundation here. We've had catastrophic injury. We've had 10 players out at times. We've had big players out. Lloyd Jones coming back today was a big thing. All our right side has been decimated. So we have had big injuries. But once everyone comes back, and once we start fluency and get more of that, then look, we'll be a considerably better side, and we'll be in a better position to win far more football games.
You mentioned Lloyd coming back. I guess the whole back three had to deal with those wins in that second half. But to come away with a clean sheet is great in today's conditions.
It was magnificent effort from everyone, and we limit them to very, very little. And look, I know you're saying you're asking for more patience. You're asking. If you look at it, we've probably won 50% of our football matches this season, right? In terms of cup games, so we've won all our cup games, 5. We'd like that. If I could swap that, 15 more points in the league, then of course I would, and we'd go out of all the FA Cup, we'd go out of the cups. But we try to win every game in what we do. So we are a work in progress, but there's so much to be positive for, and we know we can get better.
And no Conor Coventry today, so they had some tightness. Can you tell us more about that?
He had 2 big shifts. He had a massive shift at Walsall, played him in a different position, a massive shift. He did exactly the same the other night, and he was struggling the other night in terms of his mobility and stuff. So when we subbed him, it was really stiff and tight. So what we didn't want to do is risk him for anything. So what we do is we've got a strong enough squad that we can do that. But it would have been foolish to risk him today in terms of that.
And no keeper on the bench as well, just no one available.
No, we got available. I just wanted to be positive. I wanted to get an extra footballer on there and things, and just in case we need it. We knew the conditions were horrific, so we had a couple of defenders on there. Obviously Thierry has a real impact. Reg and Josh can do that position, but I wanted to go with as many positive things as I possibly could today, and that's how I was thinking here.
Just out of curiosity, then, as a backup plan, if Ash had to go off today, did you have someone in mind who could do the Steve Brown role and come on and go in goal?
Yeah, we did, but we were hoping that didn't happen.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as DARRAGH Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the river. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live on your Sunday morning. Hope you're enjoying the show more than we did enjoy yesterday's goalless draw with Lincoln City. Just before the break there, we heard from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones. You talk about the goalkeeper thing, which I think Ben was a bit confused about. But I mean, the main takeaway for me from that interview was, the long ball stuff that I think we've wanted to talk about a little bit. And as soon as I even referenced it, Nathan, you could see he was het up about it a little bit. He's obviously been a bit hurt by the accusations that we're a long ball side, but I mean it's not an accusation, is it? Over the course of the season, we have gone longer than not, if that makes sense. I mean, James says that the players aren't told to play it long. Either he isn't being totally honest, or the players are going against his instructions. Neither were great. What did you make of what Nathan had to say on that? Because, like I say, clearly, as soon as it was mentioned, he had something to say.
Yeah, I think he naturally, because I think obviously going long has quite a negative sort of what's the word, press, I suppose, because it's not the most glamorous of ways. If you play long and it's effective, like if you look at the old Stoke days and that sort of stuff, and it's effective, then it's it's okay, you can live with it. But I think when we're not playing well and we do tend to go long and more direct a lot more, like I say, doing it the odd time to turn the opposition over, fine. But I think when it's consistently and the same thing happens, doesn't hold up, come straight back at us, it can be quite laborious. I think in terms of whether we're doing it on purpose, he's saying that they don't train to do it. So I don't think he's going to come out and lie about that. So I think then you've got 2 options. It's either that the players aren't brave enough to get on the ball and want to be on the ball, or we don't have the players. And I think it's more around the player bit. I don't think our midfielders, even though they can play, like I said earlier, I think they can literally pass the ball to a good standard, but I don't think we have the ingenuity of passing in that midfield 4. We can all play it in simple and it goes sideways and backwards. Most professional footballers can do that, but it's having that little bit of game intelligence of where to pass it and your movement, which I don't think we have. And I think we don't have a lot of options. If you watch us move, so when we played Birmingham, even though we beat them, their off the ball movement was unbelievable, and we done great to defend that, but we didn't really do anything the other side of it. We got a good goal, we stay strong and got a good goal. So I believe in where he said that we don't train to play long. But the problem is, but he's the coach and he needs to obviously instill that don't go long every 5 seconds.
But even then, I mean, how often has like Ghassan Ahadme been almost as described by Nathan as a target man? Nath, like it's not like
Yeah.
I think he's trying to say the ideal plan is to mix it up, but certainly that hasn't really been what's happened enough.
No, yeah, and I think the thing is with Gas is if you look at how he plays, and he's not got great speed, so he's not a press. He's not a great presser with the ball. He's not going to go in behind and work the channels. He is a target man, but what should happen as a target man isn't always hit him long and he brings others into play. That might mean he drops 10 yards, links up, and plays other people in, which I think he done once or twice yesterday. And him and Kanu were a bit guilty of not letting it stick a little bit more, but I think you can go into him more direct, whether it's on the floor or in the air. I just think we're not doing it enough, or it's not sticking enough. And I still think I don't blame the forwards. It sounds a bit weird, but I don't really blame the forwards for most of the problem for scoring. I think a lot of it is the midfield in terms of how we build up and how we surround people like Gassan. Because like I said, Gassan he's not very mobile in terms of his off the ball movement. So yeah, he is a target man and we have to play into him at occasions, but at the same time, I think we find it way too easy as a defence and a midfield just to hit that easy ball, which is, let's get it long. It's not my problem anymore. Let's play from the front and try and pick up the pieces, which I think is a bit of an easy way out for me.
Yeah, I mean, Paul's saying that there was a time a few years ago, I wish we did go long a bit more, but now it's done when we're under no pressure. Luke says he can't remember a single through ball this season. Spam saying we don't have enough quality passers to play nice football. I mean, like David's asking the same question. Do we have players now to play wide with a creative midfielder, forwards, and the defence is good, but what about the midfield? Like I say, we don't have a midfield or we haven't had the chance to see it yet, because like I say, like Doc actually on the ball yesterday, we saw more of him, but we haven't seen that this season. So, I mean, the assumption I think for me is that the midfielders aren't being allowed to play that way, and we'll never know if they're good enough to play that way at this rate. Yeah, Paul's saying, Nathan, firstly, just please try to play football. Most other teams do and have success. It appears he is coaching not to play football. On Tuesday, we were out footballed and it was an embarrassment. Yeah, I mean, Crawley certainly played more football than we did. And as Stuart mentioned, you know, it's not just Skabala who said on yesterday's interview that we're direct. Rob Elliott mentioned it Tuesday. I've heard a lot of managers in press conferences say that we're a direct side. But yeah, I mean, Paul he said he thought he sounded like a man under pressure, Ben. So when he was sort of talking about it being a transition period or a work in progress, that's when I said, well, if you're saying that, are you asking for patience from fans? And deep down, I was thinking, I wonder if he's asking for patience from anywhere. There hasn't really been any major indication at the moment that he's under any sort of job pressure or anything like that. But he sounded like a man under pressure. To be fair, that is sort of the way he talks anyway. He's very quick talker, certainly.
Yeah, look, I quite enjoyed the interview, to be fair, because I felt he was very passionate, more passionate than I think he's been the last few weeks, about how he sets his side up. And look, we're all sat here thinking, really? I mean, we're not seeing that, are we? But some aspects you can agree with. I mean, with the defence, yeah, we do look a lot stronger there this season compared to when like Hector and Thomas were our centre-backs last season. We do look a lot stronger there. And I think, yeah, look, I mean, he's got to be positive because he's the one that talks and trains these players. So we need to be positive about it. I mean, as we're talking about now, are there aspects we are seeing? I mean, I sat a few rows behind him on Tuesday for the Crawley game. And when we were booting it long, as Paul wrote in the comments a minute ago, it was under no pressure. There was space for these players to run and pull other players out of their positions. And we didn't do it. So, I mean, that's quite baffling to hear that that's not our kind of play, because no one was coming short for a pass and going, yeah, come on, let's do a little triangle here and work our way up the pitch like that. I mean, especially when you played with three strikers and no wingers and no number 10 in behind them. It was like the only way we're going to get it up to them is by whacking it long, is by a knockdown. And as we've been talking about in the comments, we're not actually getting goals like that this season. The one I can remember was at Southend when Lieber knocked it down for Godden and Godden bundled it into the net like that. I mean, but we're not getting those chances. And as we've said on previous shows, we don't mind if we're going to be that team and we're getting results. But when the standard of football is poor, and Crawley, like on Tuesday, passed it around really well and they beat us, we're then, like, Nathan Jones style of football looks bad, especially when you're not getting results. If we're getting results, you don't mind because you think, okay, can see everyone pressuring them and putting in a lot of effort, and it's probably winding other teams up, and they go, oh, look at them, that they're that kind of direct side. If we're getting results, you go, oh, yeah, it's not too bad. But we're not getting results. And then we're hearing our manager saying, well, actually, that's not how we're set up to play. It's quite confusing and frustrating. But I mean, with the interview, as I said, I didn't think he sounded under pressure. I think he's like trying to convince us all that we are going in the right direction, and the 0-0 provides that. But I think, as we said earlier on in the show, we need like other shoots of encouragement, like their keeper making 8 saves and blinding saves. We're thinking, do you know what? They didn't have a great keeper. Next game, we'll get those in. But we're not seeing that either. So it's quite a hard position for us fans to get on board the train he's trying to take us on at the moment.
Yeah, Scott saying, when I said it, if he's under pressure for his job, Scott said, except from the fans on Tuesday, it's the first time since Appleton I've seen fans do that. And certainly the fans turned on Tuesday, as we referenced on Thursday's show, but I was just thinking more from above, in terms of indications. I haven't really had any, but you're not necessarily going to get any the indications from inside the club that he's under real pressure. But sometimes you sort of get the impression, you start to see the rumours as well. But like, from people I spoke to and stuff, not massively aware of that being the situation at the moment. James saying that Jones should own the fact that we're direct, otherwise he's throwing the players under the bus. We're going to hear from Lloyd Jones in a moment, actually, because I spoke to Lloyd about long ball stuff as well, which will be interesting to listen to. And as Scott says, it's not pressure from the board, it's more so the fans. Paul saying most of the senior management team have essentially staked their reputations, such as they are, on Jones being a success. They have nothing to gain by sacking him in the foreseeable future. Yep, I think that's probably fair as well. And Joseph saying Nathan's reliance on historic tactics and trusted players may have worked earlier in his career, but this league demands adaptability. Sticking to outdated strategies damages our competitiveness. Well, talking of players he's played with before, a few people talking about Alan Campbell. So I had our best chance yesterday, which he put wide, and then about 3 minutes later played one of the worst passes I've ever seen in association football. Was trying to go about 2 yards to someone and put it behind him. Scott saying, can we address Alan Campbell, please? With Luke Berry left on the bench and needing a goal, why did we sort of keep bringing him on, or did we plan to shut up shop and go for a draw? I mean, David saying, I don't agree with abuse of players, but I just can't see what he brings to the team or why he was signed up. John said, I feel like the hating on Alan Campbell was a bit over the top. I know he's not been great, but he was getting a lot of abuse from the away end. It's always... So obviously I have my headphones on during a game. I could hear some singing about him, but I can't hear exactly what they were singing. But I'm guessing it wasn't exactly overall positive, and that was before he came on, Nate. But I mean, there's no getting away from the fact he's been a huge disappointment this season. But yeah, I mean, I've never personally been one for personal abuse of a player during a game or anything like that. But yeah, he's one of many players who haven't really brought to decide what we thought they might.
No, yeah, exactly. And again, yeah, I'm not a big fan of personal abuse. I think criticism is fair, like 100%. But I think if it goes on personal, I didn't really remember hearing any if it was too personal. But I agree in that sense. But yeah, I think the conundrum with Alan Campbell is obviously he came in and he was heaped on a lot of praise by Nathan Jones in terms of, he's a great player, can play at a higher level. And I think when he comes on, the thing that I find, not because it's Alan Campbell himself, but I just think whoever he replaces, whether it's a Doherty or an Anderson, it's just more of the same, more of the meh. Do you know what I mean? More of the same. Doesn't really do much. Work ethics there, determination's there, etc., which is great, which is obviously just your staples of being a footballer. But I don't know what he adds. He doesn't add any creativity. He doesn't get beyond the striker. That every time I've seen him play, I don't know if it's because it's unconscious bias, but I always see mistakes in him. And I think it's just the frustration that we're just crying out for someone with a little bit of flair to change the game. And, he may have done it in his career before, but when you see Alan Campbell coming on the pitch, you don't really see it and go, yeah, he's going to grab this game by the scruff of the neck and change and win it for us. But that's not just him. That's just a lot of different players. But I find them, like I said earlier, they're all very, very similar. And obviously I'm not going to training, but he just looks unfit. I don't know if he's how unfit he was when he joins it. He just doesn't look fit enough. And he just looks off the pace, which is a shame because I remember him playing at Luton. He was this tenacious, box to box midfielder, but it just doesn't seem that player. And it's like, he's obviously had a bit of a stop-start bit in his career, and we're not obviously seeing it. We're not playing well, and obviously when you're not playing well, people are going to get critical. And usually you do have one or two players, unfortunately for Alan Campbell in this case, it's where you are sort of dug out a little bit more than others. But listen, you can't fault his work ethic. I hope it turns it around. But yeah, from what I've seen so far, I can't really go against the opinion that he's not really offering us much.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's saying numerous players were misplacing short pass yesterday. Alan Campbell got into a lot of tackles on Tuesday, covering a lot of yards. Looked like he'd won the ball, but gave it away with a second, third touch. He did win quite a few tackles on Tuesday, actually, which sort of stood out. James saying he's not a game changer. And Luke did say, he was at Millwall last season. He said the Thickos did warn us that he wasn't good. Hopefully he can turn it around, but I just don't see a player there. And Scott said Millwall's reviews of him on loan are exactly the same, although they are Thickos. Right, let's hear from Lloyd Jones. So all the Joneses on the show this morning. I caught up with the Addicts defender who played 90 minutes yesterday, his first start since that win against Birmingham in October. Back from injury finally. Great to catch up with Lloyd. This is what he had to say on yesterday's goalless draw with Lincoln. The straw here at Lincoln. First of all, what's it like to be back out there?
Yeah, it felt amazing. The conditions didn't help. I would have liked a little bit easier conditions to come back to, but it felt great.
Yeah, obviously you had a few minutes in midweek, but to get out there for the full 90 must be useful to have that in the bank now, I guess.
Yeah, defo. I didn't actually expect to play 90 minutes, but managed to get through and came out unscathed. So yeah, real positive for me personally.
Yeah, and how are you feeling now after coming back?
All right, getting up the stairs. I need an escalator. I think a bit out of breath, but yeah, I feel good. Good.
Tell us about playing as a centre half out in those conditions, because it looked absolutely wild from up here.
Oh yeah, it was actually shocking. I've got to be honest. But especially second half, I actually thought we were really brave, and I don't think maybe we've done that enough this season, and that's on us as players, because obviously the manager wants us to do that. So I thought we were really brave second half, especially with the wind in our face, to keep doing it, even if there was like mistakes made. We were trying to do the right things, and that was a massive positive. Yeah,
because it looked like there was a lot more playing it out from the back, playing the ball on the floor today. So you said that's something that the manager has asked for more from you guys.
Yeah, defo. And I think as play, I know we have probably in recent weeks maybe gone longer than we should have, but I actually think that's on the players, because we work on it in training every day. So it's got to come from us being brave. And I think, like I said, I think we've done that today, and we need to back it up. Obviously on the Tuesday night game, but obviously at home against Mansfield on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean the game as a whole, a goalless draw, a point up here. I mean, did you see that as a good result?
I think with I want to win every game. Of course I do. But conditions-wise, the way the game played out, I actually think it's a positive draw. But like I said, it's only a positive draw if we back it up on the Tuesday night first, and then on the weekend. Yeah, and obviously in terms of the gap to the playoffs, it's been growing over the last few weeks. Is there still that belief in the squad that you can make that up? Yeah, definitely. We're still early on in the fairly early on in the season. I don't want to be saying this when we've got 10 games left, and it's obvious we need to pick up points. And as players, I don't think we've put in maybe as some of the performance we would have liked, but I think that was a step in the right direction today, and I'm hoping the fans can sort of be proud of that performance. I know it's not a win, and I know it's not ideal, but it's not all the 3 points, but yeah, I hope they can sort of see we were brave today. Yeah, and defensively also it's another clean sheet. I mean, Charlton already ahead of the amount of clean sheets they got last season. What has been the difference this time around? I think we're just very together as a group. Obviously I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. I don't think it could have got much worse, actually, being in defence last year. But I think that's 6 or 7 for the season. And I think, just the lads are together, and we've got a good understanding of each other, and that's it. I don't have the answer. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the amount of wins, obviously there's not been enough so far this season. What would you think the reason has been, and how do you think that can change over the next few weeks? I think bravery sometimes. I think we've gone long too quick. And we've had some big moments and some games, and then it's been sort of a knife edge, and some games have gone away from us, and we haven't picked up enough, maybe not picked up as much points as we would have liked, or what I think this the quality in the squad have got. So I still think today was a point in the right direction.
Yeah, and also we heard that the fan reaction on Tuesday. Has there been sort of a message in the squad that you need to sort of get them back on side with you guys?
Yeah, of course. I understand fans' frustration. It's that, it's a big club. This club shouldn't be in League One. You look at the stadium and everything, but the fans are the most important thing at a football club, and we need them behind us. Well, I completely understand their frustrations, and it's up to us to put it right. But it obviously does help when they're behind us. Just
coming back to your injury, I mean, there was a hope a few weeks ago that you might have been back a little bit sooner. Did you have to suffer a bit of a delay?
Yeah, a little bit. It was really frustrating. Through rehab, it went so well. Obviously, I'd done it in the warm-up for the Birmingham game and obviously played on it. But yeah, I just had a bit of quite a bad shooting pain in my leg. And yeah, it just seems to have died off. So yeah, back now anyway, so can't complain.
Just for our podcast, you bumped into someone who was on our pod in Sainsbury's in Eltham a few weeks ago, and you were 3 weeks away. Can you just clarify they didn't kick you or anything, and that's why it got delayed?
No, he just tried robbing my shopping. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No.
Yeah, we can put that rumour to bed now. Thank you.
Right,
cheers. Ben, what were you doing trying to rob his shopping?
Mate, I'm getting my lawyers involved. What's that all about? I was saying nice stuff about him earlier. If I go down that shop later, I'll tell you what, he's getting it. Go nick his shopping big time.
Yeah. Great to hear from Lloyd Jones there, Ben. Actually, I'd just rate him. I think he's a good defender. I think he's a good character. I hope him coming back will help us. I mean, Paul's saying I like the way Lloyd gets stuck in and organises the defence. He's been a big miss.
Oh, massively. I like that interview. I like the one with Alex Mitchell. They're refreshing interviews. They're honest. They say it how it is. I mean, it's nice to hear they're kind of reflecting the manager's words of saying that's how we play in training, so we should be playing it on the pitch. But yeah, I think, look, fans can get behind that, can't they? Like owning up for mistakes. I mean, when Mitchell spoke the other week, he was very honest as well and spoke, look, we've not been good enough, but like they pride themselves on clean sheets and that. And I think we see that the pride in those two when they're playing on the pitch. Their pride in defending, getting the ball away and really getting stuck in. And as you said, like the fans' reaction on Tuesday, yeah, it's not nice. And like you want that togetherness. And I think like with honest interviews like that and saying it how it is and saying like that we will work on it and we are trying our best, etc. I think that helps a lot. I think him and Mitchell come across very honest chaps, and as people wrote in the chat there's a spine to build on there. I think if we try to get that through the team, when him and Mitchell are together, and Gillespie, to be fair, I think Gillespie has improved a lot this season, especially in a free. I think he plays better, and he did yesterday, as you giving him your man of the match. So yeah, there's something to be positive there and work on, definitely.
You're right. A couple of tweets that came in. Alan says, if anyone thinks that in under 10 months, Nathan Jones will have one window to get us into real promotion contenders, we need to remember how bad last season was. We need to give him another 2 windows and judge him again this time next season. The last 2 months of injuries have killed anything for this season again. And then KD says that Nathan chooses to play hoofball. He's been playing it all season, so he's a liar. Appleton was on more points, better league position this time last season. Have things really improved? The only reason we played on the floor yesterday was because of the weather. We looked okay, but we had zero creativity. And we had a couple of emails that came in as well. McSquared says sounds like the only winner yesterday was Storm DARRAGH. I don't envy anyone who had to endure that ball draw, not to mention the atrocious conditions. I guess we should be grateful that we came away with a point. Another total write-off for both sides. Gary said it was a marginal better performance than Burton and Crawley, but we just look so poor up front. We need some sort of transfer activity in January. That's Gary from Woolwich. Malk says yesterday was better than Tuesday, so we should be thankful for small mercies. There were some periods of passing, but we looked so poor. Hope he plays Dixon on Tuesday. Yeah, got Leyton Orient coming up on Tuesday. And then Richard saying, hi Louis, I wonder if you can give us some insight into what it's like to interview managers after the game, particularly from when things aren't going well. From annoyed supporters' perspective, I want you to give him a much harder time, but I appreciate from your perspective you have to walk a tightrope. What is it like for you? Thanks for, well, you have to find the right way to ask a question, but over the last few weeks we've asked about not winning enough games, not having enough creativity. playing the ball too long. Like there's ways of wording stuff. You don't have to go in and headbutt him. Like I just think it's the way that people go. But obviously, yeah, obviously different people will do it different ways. Right, Orient Tuesday, Nath. I forgot it's happening. Buzzing for it.
Yep. So did I until you just told me.
Yep. See you there.
Yeah. Well, depending on work, I might. Obviously, it's what trophy is it now? Checker
Virtue.
Right, okay.
Well, no one knows how to pronounce it, so it's a good idea to sponsor the trophy because someone's probably going to work out how to pronounce it at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, listen. I don't know how far we are in the competition. I don't know if we're at Wembley yet or whatever, or semi-final, or whatever. But yeah, obviously, I'd never want to lose a game. I'd rather just obviously winning breeds confidence, and I think if that can be done, I think it's an ideal time to start maybe play a different way. I'd rather us play 4-3-3, play Dixon, and if we lose 2-1, so what? I'm in that sort of camp. So I'd rather us try something different and give players a bit of a chance. The same way, get people some more minutes.
Yeah, and there's all hell that loose points out. They won 2-0 away at Wigan yesterday. That was just as I finished doing my full-time report on Radio London. They went to Dave. And I heard that DJ had scored. I was like, oh, blimey, we could have done with DJ yesterday for their second goal. Right, we've run out of time. I've got to start making my way back down south. So, yeah, massive thanks to everyone who's joined us live this morning on YouTube. Considering it was a pretty poor game, I actually quite enjoyed this morning's show. So really, really appreciate all your comments. And that, Nathan and Ben, an absolute pleasure, as it always is, to speak to the pair of you.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, guys. Just off to Sainsbury's.
Lovely stuff. Try not to assault anyone while you're there. So, yeah, this has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. I'm Louis Mendes. We'll see you again on Thursday when we'll look back at the Orient game and ahead to next Saturday's home game with Mansfield. See you later.